My name is Greg Blanchard. I'm the Director of Marketing. I'm going to be joined today by my color commentator, Tyler Maynard, our Director of Sales. As you know from the title of this session when you registered, we're going to be talking about our new AI-powered upsell emails. And this is a thing we're going to do every month for the next little while. We have a lot of really cool stuff lined up, either currently rolling out or rolling out in the next couple months. And each one of these things, like this feature, is fairly significant, at least in my eyes. And we wanted to give it a little bit more space for people who are interested to dig in a little bit deeper beyond an email or a slide in a deck or something like that. And so we'll do this every month. Register if you want for the recording, or join us live. Either way is totally fine. But let's jump in. So the story behind this one is something I think we all understand on a pretty basic level. Every guest is different, and those differences come in a lot of different shapes, right? You've got families and couples and solo travelers, but you also have different motivations, right? People want to come to relax, or they want an adventure, or they just need to like try something new, or they're going with someone who already has been to this place and they love it. There's lots of these different levels and reasons that people travel. The trick is that you have a lot of experiences, and the reason you have a lot of experiences is because people are so different. You have relaxing experiences and fun experiences and family experiences and couple experiences, all these different things. Now, every guest could book more, but the question then becomes, how do you connect the two? How do you know that Jane Doe, who is coming to relax, is coming for that reason, and she wants to maybe book something that's relaxing, or a family that's coming for to play an adventure is coming for that and not for something else. And on the surface, it's easy to identify basic patterns, but like, how do you go deeper? How do you really understand each guest and identify those experiences or activities or whatever that are really well suited to a guest like them? And that's the question that when AI first kind of came into prominence a few years ago, we said, yeah, this is a problem that AI could solve really well. Tyler, any thoughts on that one before we jump into how we solve this?
Yeah, Greg, I'll sort of just add, I think a lot of our partners using our Marketing Cloud product are doing a great job with pre-arrivals of, putting in logic through dynamic content to deliver some really good upsell opportunities. And the classic example in the Inntopia portfolio is, purchase lessons. So on pre-arrival, upsell them rentals, and there's some product association there. And one of the things we are really excited around using AI is taking sort of the human bias of consumer behavior out of it and using data and using statistics to really understand what is most likely to be purchased. And the tool that we rolled out does that in a really slick fashion. The other thing that sort of was always a problem with historical dynamic content and pre-arrival emails or upsell emails is they weren't inventory based. So you potentially could be upselling something that you could not fulfill, or when the guest goes to book it, no longer has any availability, leading to a non-conversion. And what we've been able to do with the upsell engine is drive this off inventory. So it looks at two things: what's most likely to be purchased based on all historical data, but also ensuring that that inventory is available. And if that inventory is not available, it will go to the second or third most likely thing to be purchased.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's actually dig into how this works. It's a pretty straightforward process. First step, as you can imagine, since this is an upsell engine, is a guest needs to make a booking. Excuse me. It does not have to be a lodging booking. It can be any product, any experience, any activity, any package that you sell through Inntopia Commerce, either through the booking engine or CRS. Once a guest makes a booking, this is where the AI layer is applied. So the AI model is trained on all of this data, all this booking data for your property. So this is thousands and thousands of rows of itineraries and guests that the model ingests and learns from. And what it's able to do is look at the booking that just happened, identify all missing items from that itinerary, and then understanding that guest as it does is able to then score each of those items that's missing and rank them based on how well they match to that individual guest. And again, like Tyler said, this is also based on inventory. So, someone might come in and they book water park and a room, and based on the dynamics of that, the dates, the guests, it's going to find all the things they haven't booked yet and rank those in order of relevance to that specific guest. And then what happens next is an email is automatically generated, and that contains the top matches for that specific guest based on, as Taylor said again, current inventory. And this is sent to the guests automatically. Each recommendation has a link that takes them directly back into the booking engine, so they can book that thing that they were missing initially. And there are a lot of benefits to this, right? There's the revenue benefit. So you want more revenue, but you want guests to have a full and complete experience. And this does a really good job of that. Some of the data we'll talk about in a second highlights that, where you don't want a guest on the last day of their trip to realize that they missed 2 or 3 things and then not have enough time to do those things and kind of have that bad taste in their mouth. And this kind of, excuse me, helps avoid that situation. It gets ahead of those things that they're missing up front. Tyler, any other thoughts or anything I'm missing on this so far?
Sorry, Greg, I will stay unmuted from here on out there. I was trying to find the mute button. No, I think that's a good picture so far. Thank you, Greg.
Yep. The one last thing I'll mention is that every time a guest interacts with an email, it further trains the model. So there's that famous saying in AI where this is the worst AI is going to be at X is right now. And that's the same for this. The more people interact with these emails, the smarter the model is going to get, the better it's going to get at predicting what experiences or activities are going to be best matched to that guest. So let's talk about performance for a second. So starting with average open rates. I was really, really happy when I saw this chart initially, because we have emails that we send around, kind of in and around a guest booking. So that's like a pre-arrival, just before they come, booking anniversary, a year after they book, abandoned cart if they left stuff that wasn't booked in an itinerary yesterday. And AI Upsell has a higher open rate than all of those emails. And open rate is not a perfect metric, but it is a good indicator that yes, what you have sent to someone is something that is relevant to them. That's kind of what someone is saying when they click open is, this is relevant to me, I want to learn more about it. So the fact that it's a 67% open rate for the partners that we're testing with is really, really impressive. The only thing that's higher is the transactional emails themselves, the confirmations, the modifications, cancellations, things like that. So let's jump into some deeper numbers. And let me just preface this with the quick bit of context. The first test partners for this are primarily have a very, very high return rate among their guests. So the vast majority of their guests are coming back. And the other thing is that they have a lot of activities. So just a quick preface before we jump in, we can talk about that more in just a second. But for the guests who click and then book something from these emails, the average increase in itinerary value for those guests that book is 79%, which is a pretty impressive number. I think it's probably not high partly because of the activities, but even still, consider someone that books $100 in water park passes, for example. They're spending another $79 on top of that when they come, which is a really impressive number. Second thing is, the average time to act on upsells is 3.5 days. I think I expected this to be a little bit shorter, to be more of an impulse buy. What that's telling me is people are saying, hey, oh, we missed some stuff. Let's take the time to work it into our itinerary, make sure we are accounting for the other stuff we have planned, kind of refigure out their plan a little bit, and then book those things, which I think is a really good sign because they're taking the time to actually book the things that they want and not just saying, oh, we don't have time for that, and moving on. Last thing is email to booking conversion rate. So the number of bookings that happen over the number of emails that are sent, you can account for the people that don't get the email or don't open the email, and you're still seeing a 0.6% conversion rate, which is probably going to be higher for a resort or a property that has, for example, a lower return rate among their guests, where there's more people who are coming for the first time and maybe aren't as familiar with the activities or the other things that they could book initially, as compared to people who have been there 5 times and they kind of know what's going on ahead of time. Tyler, any thoughts on conversion rate or any of these numbers?
Yeah, just a few quick things. One of the things I'm most impressed with is, even though that email to booking conversion rate looks small, this product hasn't only been live for roughly 6 weeks, I believe, at the test properties we're testing out on, and we're seeing this increase over time. So it was lower when we first launched, and it continues to increase. So I think it's really exciting and speaks to the AI model learning and adapting and making more educated upsell opportunities. The other thing I'll sort of add, not so much to this data, but just holistically, is each individual install we do of our recommendation engine is trained on your data set or your product mix. It also incorporates some core learnings that sort of the aggregate model knows across our entire database. So I think there's just synergies as this continues to be rolled out for just the increase in value that it's driving for our partners.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, if you take a property that has a higher first-time guest rate, and as you think about this model learning, I think we're going to see conversion rates in the 2, 3, 4, maybe 5% range within a few months. So it's going to be really cool to see. That said, the thought that I had, I'll finish on this, is that I think there's something to be said, and I'm a marketing guy, and I'm a B2B marketing guy primarily, which means that a lot of my job is just planting seeds, making people aware of things. And when I look at these numbers, I say, yeah, there's a lot of people who, before they opened that email, didn't know that these things were available, and now they know that they're available. And some stuff you just know you're going to book later. In fact, let me show this chart really quick. We did some research a couple of years ago around guest preferences in terms of when they like to book things. And 40% said they like to book something up front and then worry about the rest later. And I can see that happening a lot with this group of people who receive these emails. They're opening the email, they say, oh, that's cool, I can do this, this, and this while I'm there. And they'll just worry about it when they're there, or they'll worry about it a couple days before they come, or something like that. So I think 0.6% is going to grow, and it's only going to represent a portion of the people who actually end up doing more things because of the recommendations in the email. I think that's it. Any last thoughts, Tyler, before we wrap up?
Yeah, well, just one quick thing. I think another thing I'm super excited about, particularly with this product, is sort of going back to that pre-arrival example. There's a lot of manual intervention to deal with seasonality and as your product mix changes through the seasons. And this is doing it automatically. So it just removes some of that manual intervention to drive upsells. And I think it's one of those things that, once in place, is really just a revenue generator, and it's sort of picking up nickels. And I wouldn't say set and forget, but set and monitor. And I think that there's a lot of time saving around that as well.
Absolutely. Cool. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to your account manager or reach out to Tyler directly. Here's Tyler's email address. But I think we'll call it there. Like I said, we'll do these monthly. Got a lot of really cool stuff coming up. So if you see more emails promoting webinars in your inbox, click on those and register, and at the least you'll get the recording. You can watch after we're done. Thanks all.